news across the globe, the stories here at home. This is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you, and I'm Sharifa Tahir.
Very good evening, I'm Lakshita Singha. We start off by taking a look at the headlines for tonight. The Kaluganga Reservoir of the Moragahakanda Mammoth Irrigation Project vested with the public, together with the Ambana New Town. 3 highway stretches declared open. Travelling from Mathura to Katunayaka facilitated with effect from midnight tomorrow. The Tamil National Alliance extends its unconditional support to presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa. Presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa pledges to recommence the midday meal for 4.3 million students, which was scrapped by the Rajapaksa regime. Julam PTA Amare served the death sentence for organised crimes. The army commander of Congo found guilty of war crimes, sentenced to 30 years imprisonment.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. A look at local news first. The release of irrigation water of the other tanks of the Moragahakanda Mammoth Irrigation Project, which is the Kaluganga Reservoir, took place under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena today. In addition, the Ambana New Town was vested with the public as well. The Kaluganga Reservoir has been designed by the construction of a dam across the Kaluganga. In the Lagala-Palegama area, the reservoir holds a capacity of over 1 million cubic meters of water, and 3,000 families who have been resettled in the lower valley of the Kaluganga will benefit by this reservoir. The Moragahakanda and Kaluganga reservoirs are connected by a canal which is 9 kilometers in length. Water flows along the canal at a speed of 35 cubic meters per second. This project increases the water supply irrigated along the upper Elahara Canal up to Mahakandarava, and the water irrigated through Yodaala from the old Ambanganga to Minneria, Giritale, Kaundulla and Kantale. The successful completion of the Moragahakanda Kaluganga development project marks the completion of the final project of the Mahavali scheme. The water reserve of the Kaluganga reservoir was released at the auspicious moment under the patronage of the President this morning. The Ambana New Town, which is constructed at a cost of 1,200 million rupees under the Moragahakanda Kaluganga development project, was also vested with the public, benefiting 10,000 families. In addition, the new hospital, the Agrarian Services Centre, the Samurdhi Building, the Post Office, the Nila Sevena Service Centre, the Weekly Fair, the Forest Conservation Beat Office and the police checkpoint were declared open by the President. Speaking at a media briefing held after the newly constructed Ambana Rural Hospital was vested with the public, the President said, "Out of all the development projects underway, it is the Moragahakanda Kaluganga giant irrigation project that dishes out the largest benefits to the people." The President said in the month of November in the year 2015, he launched construction work of the Lagala Reservoir, and exactly after 4 years it has been possible to complete the work and release water. He noted with the inauguration of the Lagala town last year and the inauguration of the Ambana New Town this year, the entire Mathale district, especially the Lagala electorate, has been directed towards a large transformation. These 2 towns have been named as green towns. The President noted the investment for the Ambana New Town has been 1,200 million rupees. He described the inauguration of many facilities today as an illumination to the area.
මේ නගරය තුල අපි මේ සිටින අඹන ග්‍රාමීය රෝහල, තැපැල් කාර්යාලය, සේවා පියස, පුස්තකාල, සමෘද්ධි බැංකුව, වන සංරක්ෂණ බීට්ටු කාර්යාලය, ගෝජන සේවා මධ්‍යස්ථානය, සතිපොළ, පොලිස් මුරපොළ, කාපට් මාර්ග, ග්‍රාමීය ජල යෝජනා ක්‍රම පරිවර්තනයක් මේ ප්‍රදේශවල මේ ඇතිවෙච්ච ආලෝකයේ මුළු රටටම.
Thereafter, the President joined in an observation visit of the hospital. People's representatives and public officials joined in the visit.
Meanwhile, the third stage of the outer circular highway was vested with the public by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe this evening. The cost involved has been 67 billion rupees. Construction work of the third stage of the outer circular highway commenced on the 1st of January 2016. It is significant to note within a short period of 2.5 years, this stretch of 9.6 kilometers was completed. The vital and special area of the outer circular highway was this third stage, as vehicles arriving along the Southern Expressway can proceed towards the Katunayake Airport without having to enter Colombo. This stretch was declared open by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Kerawalapitiya interchange this evening. The Premier purchased the first ticket and arrived at the interchange and thereafter joined in the opening ceremony. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said this roadway network needs to be deployed for the development of the country. If the country is focused on creating a developed society, therefore the Premier said they embarked on constructing the Central Expressway in addition to the Hambantota stretch of the Southern Expressway and the Outer Circular Highway. He noted this is the first step in the economic field which runs on a network of highways. He added the next stage is to take this network of expressway to the eastern province and combine Kurunegala, Dambulla and Trincomalee. The Premier also noted already 1,000 acres of land in Kapalthurai have been deployed for the upgrading of Trincomalee Industrial Zone. He pointed out once the eastern expressway is constructed, the Hambantota port will be connected with the Colombo port and the Trincomalee harbour. He concluded Sri Lanka is on the way to become the hub of the Indian Ocean.
ඉන්දියන් සාගරයේ කේන්ද්‍රස්ථානය බවට ලංකාව පත් කරන්න.
With effect from midnight tomorrow, the stretch from Kerawalapitiya to Kadawatha will be open to the public. Thereafter, motorists travelling from Matra along the Southern Expressway will be able to reach Katunayake through the outer circular highway. Meanwhile, the Barawa-Kumbuka Mattala Hambantota stretch, which is the third stage of the Southern Expressway, was declared open by the Secretary to the Ministry of Road Development, Sunil Hettiarachchi, today. This third stretch connects the Hambantota port with the Mattala International Airport. Issuing a release, the Road Development Authority states with effect from midnight tomorrow, the 21.8 kilometer stretch from Barawa-Kumbuka to Andaravava Mattala will be open to the public. In addition, the 16.6 kilometer stretch from Andaravava to Hambantota along the Southern Expressway will also be open to the public with effect from tomorrow. The release states the 9.6 kilometer stretch from Kadawatha to Kerawalapitiya along the outer circular highway will be open to the public with effect from 12 midnight tomorrow. The toll payable will also be revised. However, the electronic payment system at the Kerawalapitiya interchange will not be operational until further notice.
The Tamil National Alliance has decided to extend its unconditional support to presidential candidate of New Democratic Front, Sajith Premadasa. The Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi arrived at this decision at the Central Committee meeting held in Vavuniya. Leader of the Tamil National Alliance, R. Sambandhan, General Secretary of the Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi, M.A. Sumandiran, and a group of senior representatives were in attendance.
The third in the series of popular Fireside Chat series was hosted by the International Chamber of Commerce Sri Lanka together with the Daily FT at the Golface Hotel today. The session was titled What Lies Ahead with the Leading Presidential Candidates. The topics discussed focused on the future of economy and creating an enabling business climate. The proceeds of the event will go to support the Apeksha Hospital in Maharagam.
The world as the divided
district. Gotabe Rajapaksa.
We will strive to provide maximum amount of incentives and encouragement to promote foreign direct investment. And we will also install a competitiveness commission which will ensure transparency in terms of foreign investors who are keen on investing in our country. We will establish an efficient one-stop shop which would facilitate the approval processes that are necessary for foreign investors to set up businesses and factories in our country. So we will certainly be a very proactive administration as far as foreign investment is concerned, and I personally have observed the manner in which my late father, in a very crucial time in our history, in challenging times, how he was able to attract foreign investors while there were two insurrections taking place in our country, and we had large pools of foreign resources coming in to invest in the 200 garment factory program. There, what was most crucial was the personal supervision and the championing of foreign investors coming into our country. Every week, you had the executive president meeting with the necessary officials together with the foreign investors, and there were time-targeted implementation programs in order to achieve those targets.
That we need about US $10 billion foreign direct investment within a very short period of time, maybe within 12 months. Not just to put it in the stock market and take it back, but within a short period, we will need about 10 billion foreign direct investment. And at the rate that things are happening now, people might wonder, because is it possible? Because we are not sending the right investment signals to the world. But of course, with the right leadership, let me tell you, it is possible. Because I declared my candidacy 3 years ago. And I have been traveling the world. And when I calculate the pledges, it comes to a few billion. And of course, we will have to fast track these investments. Because what is important as to how I manage, because you might say there are state institutes and they have failed. Even the BOI has, it was less than 1 billion. But let me tell you, you have to understand the psyche of an investor. You have to understand as to what triggers in the mind of an investor before they make that investment decision. So for the leader, entrepreneurial leader, who has a political will, certainly can convince, of course he'll have to do some traveling, he can convince the world to come and invest in Sri Lanka. That is what I would do if and once I'm elected to that office.
Presidential candidate Anurakumar Dissanayake, joining in the discussion, said the debt burden is the pressing issue faced by the economy of the country. He noted, according to the Central Bank report of 2010, when state revenue was 1,919 billion, the country's loan repayment interest premium was 2,054. He noted from the loans obtained, assets were not produced. Although loans amounting to 11 trillion were obtained, assets amounting to 11 trillion were not produced. He observes some of the projects launched through loans have not been productive. In this situation, in order to come out of this debt issue, it is impossible to prevent obtaining loans to pay back loans. He explains obtaining loans is not a crime. Loans can be obtained on two requirements. One is capital requirements, which are to meet with technological requirement of the country. Such loans can be obtained even from the commercial market at low interest rate to be deployed on productive projects and for the construction of productive infrastructure facilities. He added his party has put forward a national plan to rectify the debt crisis within the next few years. He also focused on utilizing homegrown innovations. He noted part of the defense software of the Pentagon and part of the software of the share market in the United Kingdom have been designed by a Sri Lankan company. However, the software of the Inland Revenue Department in Sri Lanka has been designed by a company based in Singapore. He pointed out the software industry is vital to grab a share in the international market.
Presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Sajith Premadasa, says after the 16th of this month, the 750 rupee daily allowance paid for estate workers will be terminated and instead a 1,500 rupee daily allowance will be paid. He disclosed this move joining in a rally held in the Bandarabala town yesterday. Presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa received a warm welcome from the people of Bandarabala. Councillors representing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna of the Haldamulla, Haputale and Bandarabala Pradesh Sabhas and a group of former councillors also joined the rally to extend support to Sajith Premadasa. Presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Sajid Premadasa, says many programs will be implemented for the benefit of school-going children. He reiterated on his promise to provide students with 2 sets of school uniforms, a pair of shoes and a midday meal. He described a program which ensures benefits and can be enjoyed from the generation to come to the elderly population. For this purpose, he called on the voters to mark the cross before the swan symbol on the 16th of November.
ඒ වගේම මිත්‍රවරුනි අපේ පාසල් යන දූ දරුවන්ට එක නිලැඳුමක් දීලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. එක දවසක ඒ ගන්නන් පස්සේ ඊළඟ දවසේ මොකක්ද අඳින්නේ? ඒ නිසාම අනිවාර්යෙන්ම 44 ලක්ෂයක් පාසල් දූ දරුවන්ට නිලැඳුම් කට්ටල දෙකයි සබත්තු කුට්ටමයි දිවා ආහාරයයි මේ සියල්ලක්ම ලබා දෙනවයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි. නූපන් දරුවගේ ඉඳලා වැඩිහිටිය දක්වා හැමෝටම සෙත සලසන හැමෝටම ශක්තිය ලබා දෙන අවංක පිරිසිදු වැඩසටහනක් තිබෙනවා. මේ වැඩසටහන මහ පොළොවේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නට 16 වෙනිදාට තමුන්නාන්සලා පොදු ජන යුගය නිර්මාණය කරන්නට හංසයා දිනවන්නේ කියලා මම ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
Meanwhile, another rally in support of the victory of Sajid Premadasa was held in the premises of the Moravaka bus terminal in Deniaya today. SLFP councillor of the Hakmina Pradesh Sabha Jayanta Bandara, who is the leader of the SLFP alternate group, joined in the rally with his group of supporters to extend support to Sajid Premadasa. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said certain individuals are now ranting about the cost of living. He noted the Pohotua during their time sold a litre of petrol for 160 rupees, a litre of diesel for 118 rupees and a litre of kerosene for 110 rupees. He also noted the same Pohotu members sold a 400-gram packet of milk for 410 rupees, a kilo of sugar for 120 rupees and a tin of salmon for 275 rupees. The Premier pointed out the Pohotua could not bring down the prices of these commodities until 2015. However, the present administration brought down the prices in 2015. Presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Sajid Premadasa, said a massive transformation will be brought about in the agriculture sector. He pledged once again to provide fertilizer free of charge to uplift the cultivation of paddy, tea, rubber and coconut minor export crops.
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, says under a government run by him, all steps will be taken to support local industries. He made these comments joining in a rally held in Matugal.
අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනයේ පැහැදිලිව තේ නැවත වගා කරන්න අලුතින් තේ වගා කරන්නට
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, says he will protect the local cultivators. He expects to provide aid for those venturing into tea cultivations and those intending to replant tea. He says the reputation of Sri Lankan tea will be preserved by exporting high-quality tea. He says Sri Lanka produced the best rubber. Therefore, financial assistance will be provided to upgrade the rubber products industry. He pledges to stop fraudulent trade practices in the re-exportation of minor crops. He intends to scrap all unnecessary taxes and bring down the VAT to 8%.
කර්මාන්ත ආරම්භ කරලා අපි රබර් නැවත වගා කරන්න තමුන්නාන්සලාවට රාජ්‍ය පහසුකම් ලබා දීලා රබර් කර්මාන්තය ඉහළට ගන්නවයි කියන එකත් අපි තහවුරු කරනවා තමුන්නාන්සලාට. ඒ වගේම අනෙකුත් භෝග අපි බාල භෝග වර්ග ලංකාවට ගෙනල්ලා නැවත ප්‍රතිඅපනයන කරනවා. මේවට අපි ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ ජාවාරම්කාරයන්ට. අපේ වැවිලිකරුවා කඩා වැටිලා මේ බාල ගම්මිරිස් මෙරට ගෙනල්ලා ප්‍රතිඅපනයන කිරීම නිසා අපි කර්මාන්ත දිරිගන්වන්නට ආයෝජකයා දිරිගන්වන්නට ව්‍යාපාරිකයා දිරිගන්වන්නට අපේ නිෂ්පාදන වැඩි කරන්නට ඒ වගේම ආයෝජන වැඩි කරන්නට පරිභෝජනය වැඩි කරන්නට ඉතුරු කිරීම වැඩි කළා අපේ ආර්ථිකය දිරිගන්වන්නට තමයි අපි විශාල බදු සහන දීලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ අනවශ්‍ය බදු සියල්ලක් මහක් කළා ගෙවන්නට පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම වැඩ බද්ද අපි 8% දක්වා අඩු කිරීම නිසා ඔවුන්ට පමණක් නෙවෙයි සියලු දෙනාටම එයින් සානයක් ලැබෙනවා. මේ නිසා ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම රජයේ ආදායම වැඩි කරගන්නට පුළුවන්. පහසුවෙන් ගෙවන්න පුළුවන් වුණාම වැඩි දෙනෙක් බඩු ගෙවනවා. කලමනාකරණය කරගන්න පහසුයි.
Another rally in support of presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Gotabaya Rajapaksa was held in the Beruwala town yesterday.
Presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Disanayake, says no room will be left for the lands of the motherland to be vested with any other country or outside party through the signing of any agreement. He expressed these views joining in a rally held in the Anuradhapura New Town. Presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Disanayake, observes there is a two-sided conversation when it comes to the topic of the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement. He points out the pro-Sajid Premadasa camp and Minister Mangala Samaravira described the agreement as a fantastic opportunity. The pro-Sajid camp, which is in favour of the agreement, says the road network of the country will be developed and likewise a large development will take place in the country. He also observes the pro-Mahinda Rajapaksa camp is also describing the agreement in a similar way. He notes this agreement will not ensure benefits in the way the benefits have been exaggerated. He also notes this agreement will not bring about disaster in the way the drawbacks have been exaggerated. He assured the voters that they will never leave room for the agreement to be signed bearing the clause relating to the lands of the country. Presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Disanayake, also participated in a rally held in the Puttalam area as well. He also joined in a gathering of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce in Colombo.
And now we focus on the views of few presidential candidates expressed at their meetings. Presidential candidate of the Frontline Socialist Party, Duminda Nagamu, called to mind when the Frontline Socialist Party was formed in 2011. It was Mahinda and Gotabaya Rajapaksa who were in power, and they pulled into their camp the members of the Frontline Socialist Party. He accused the then rulers of attempting to block the political journey of the Frontline Socialist Party, but noted the party did not turn back. Presidential candidate of the Janasitha Peramuna Venerable Battaramulle Seelaratana Thera said Gotabaya Rajapaksa is an individual whose wife and children do not have voting rights. However, as the fault cannot be voiced, instead he has hailed. The Thera says even the Green camp is not reliable, and if the Red camp emerges, there will be no betterment.
Prafril states, although as at the previous elections the opposition parties were on the victimized side, at this election the governing types have become the aggrieved party, having been subject to election violence. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, Executive Director of Prafril, Rohan Hettiarachchi, said on 15 occasions the New Democratic Front has been the victim of election-related violence. However, he notes in comparison with previous elections, violence is at a minimum level this year.
We are deploying more than 5,000 observers. Postal observers already deployed in the last 4 days. But we are planning to deploy stationary observers around 3,000, and we will deploy mobile team. There are 225 mobile teams across the country, and there will be special teams, 25 teams also, considering the requirement of the ground. The elections observation so far with related to the postal voting went in a peaceful manner. We really happy. But only concern is there were about 58,000 postal applications were rejected, and we think that the Elections Commission will take some actions if the government officers they have not fulfilled their duty during they submit the postal applications. The misuse of the government resources and the government power is one of the critical area where we are concerned even these elections. But compared with the past presidential elections, it is less this time. And also this time, the biggest issue with 24 ministries, mainly they were recruit the people during immediately after the election declarations and even after nominations. We have noticed we got number of complaints against these ministries. Generally, the complaints come against the ruling party or ruling coalition, but this time, this complaints going against the opposition parties as well. The media also little critical issue in these elections. Equal playing field for the political party and the candidate, equal space in the media, especially in the TV stations was a big issue, and we wrote to the Elections Commissioner, we wrote to the TRC and even the President, and we appealed the President to take some actions as a media minister. And as a elections observers, we wish to appeal all the media stations, all the TV stations during next 10 days period. We are not asking to control the media, but we are asking balance the media, give the equal opportunity or fair opportunity for all the candidates in your TV stations.
Meanwhile, the postal voting for the forthcoming presidential election concluded today. The counting of postal votes will take place on the 16th of this month. Chairman of the Elections Commission Mahinda Deshapriya says postal voting was conducted on the 31st of October and the 1st of November, whilst for officials attached to district secretariats, election officers and police stations, postal voting was conducted on the 4th and 5th of November. The 7th of November, which is today, was set aside for those who could not cast their postal votes on the previous given days. He added the counting of postal votes will take place after 5 p.m. on the 16th of November. Therefore, the chairman of the Election Commission states no one can say that the candidate they support has obtained the highest postal votes. He added if anyone says so, it is a false statement. Meanwhile, the Ranaviru Treaty, which focuses on enabling security personnel to engage in their duties without political interference, was unveiled under the patronage of presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Sajith Premadasa, today. The Ranaviru Treaty includes procedures recommended for salaries and allowances, welfare and promotions of the security personnel, whilst giving priority to national security. The treaty also focuses on establishing a National Intelligence Act and the modernization of the police, the civil security department and the forces. It is also expected to recruit suitable individuals through a proper interviewing process without leaving room for political influencing, and ensure a proper procedure for promotions without delays giving consideration to seniority. The Ranaviru Treaty also proposes to provide a house or land for security personnel who do not own a plot of land or a house for themselves.
The Vyat Maga organization held a media briefing in Colombo today.
In any country, the economic factors must be under the control of that country and its leadership. Now here we have seen a situation where the governor himself is saying because of the current situation of our debt, because of the current situation of our economy, where the macro fundamentals have perished, macro fundamentals are today challenged, we are unable to take the country forward, and we are now suffering from a huge problem of ceding our economic freedom, our economic sovereignty to the IMF. We will have a fresh start, that we will be able to move forward again and bring the growth back, bring the employment back, bring the investment back, bring the interest rates down so that people can do business, strengthen the banks, strengthen the finance companies, strengthen the companies that are doing business in our country, bring the foreign investment to come into Sri Lanka. If we do that, then we'll be on the right track. Otherwise, we will be in the same morass that we are in today, and that the repercussions of that will be felt by all the people of our country.
Mr. Sajith Premadasa tries to pretend at political forums, political rallies, that he's going to be an independent president who can do as he wish. But in reality, it is not the case. He's representing a group of people who have been managing this country, ruling this country for the last 5 years. He's just a representative of them. He's just representing that group. We saw a couple of days ago the same leaders who formed this alliance in 2015 to face the presidential election coming together and re-establishing their alliance. These professionals, these intellectuals, these business people who worked together for the last 4 years with Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa have come up with a plan, a collective plan as to how they are going to change the current situation, to how they are going to get the country out of the misery that we are in. So it's a solid plan. It's not something that somebody has just come up over the last 2-3 weeks and tried to just tell people. It's not a political statement, a mere political statement. It is a true plan which very clearly says how this country is going to be developed.
The Commonwealth Ministers of Justice Forum, which was underway in Colombo, ended on a successful note yesterday. The forum commenced last Monday under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Secretary General to the Commonwealth of Nations, Patricia Scotland, also joined in the forum, which was themed the rule of law overall and equal treatment before the judicial system. The 4-day forum discussed on topics such as data protection, electronic evidence recording, international commercial disputes resolution and curbing corruption. Ministers of Justice and senior legal officials representing the 53 countries of the Commonwealth arrived in the island to attend this forum.
Employment, education, housing and livelihood. Therefore, addressing these justice gaps and legal challenges will be essential to enable the basic protection of human rights, from protection of property to legal identity and freedom from violence. It is therefore an honor for Sri Lanka to hold the Commonwealth Justice Ministers Conference 2019, which focuses on this very relevant theme. We can discuss best practices, various approaches and potential actions, as well as recommendations to deliver evidence-based policy advice on key issues and challenges.
In the context of our Law Ministers meeting, we recall our Commonwealth Charter Declaration that, and I quote, international peace and security, sustainable economic growth and development, and the rule of law are essential to the progress and prosperity of all. The Commonwealth Secretariat has a long-lasting and long-standing programme of work to strengthen public institutions and, through that work, to reinforce the rule of law as a principal pillar of democracy. And a justice system that is fair is an indispensable precondition for democracy. To be effective, it has to be trusted, which means it has to be accessible to all.
In fact, the new election commission that we have installed has so much of power that you won't even notice election is taking place. There have been no election posters anywhere in the country. We have an impartial system today functioning in the country. So in this way, we have kept the lines separate between Parliament, in which theoretically all power first come vested, and then with the Supreme Court, which actually exercises it. And I must say, in recent history, the Supreme Court has always upheld that constitution. We find similar thinking in different parts of the world as to what are the powers of the courts and what are the powers of Parliament. So I hope that our experiences can be used by others in setting up the independent commissions. I must, in fact, commend the Speaker for the lead role he has played in ensuring that the independent commissions function. And this is one way for we to build up new traditions.
Now the Tangol High Court today served the death sentence on Geegana Gamage Amarasiri alias Julampitiye Amare, who was found guilty of committing the dual murder that took place in the Hediwatta area in Katuwana in 2012. On the 15th of June 2012, a shooting incident was reported during a JVP propaganda meeting held in the Hediwatta area. The shooting was carried out by motorcyclists using T-56 weapons, resulting in the death of a woman and a youth who were residents of the Katwan area. The gunshots were aimed at parliamentarian Nalinda Jayatissa, who was a member of the Western Provincial Council back then. Tangol High Court Judge R.S.S. Sapuvida served the death sentence on the accused today. Parliamentarian Nalinda Jayatissa was present at the hearing.